The day I walked into my sister's house and saw what her husband had done to her, I felt something inside me die. The part of me that believed in the goodness of people, the part that thought family meant protection, the part that still had faith in marriage vows, all of it turned to ash in my chest. But before I tell you how I made him pay for every second of her suffering, before I show you how I turned his world into the hell he created for my baby sister, I need to ask you something. Please hit that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment telling me what city and country you're watching from, because I need to know that survivors everywhere are hearing this. Your support means everything to women like my sister, women who've been broken down and told they're nothing. Now settle in and listen close. I'll never forget that October afternoon. The cab driver kept looking at me in the rearview mirror like I'd given him the wrong address. I was wearing my usual work clothes, nothing fancy, just comfortable slacks and a blazer. We pulled up to the house and he said, "Lady, you sure this is the place? This looks like serious money." I paid him and stepped out onto that pristine driveway, looking up at the colonial-style house with the white columns and perfectly manicured lawn. Yeah, I was sure, because 15 years ago, I'd signed the check that bought every brick of this place. I'd worked 70-hour weeks at my law firm, taken every case I could handle, saved every penny, all so I could give my baby sister Monique the wedding gift of a lifetime, a home, security, a fresh start with the man she loved. The front door was standing wide open, and I could hear music and laughter pouring out into the cool autumn air. They were having some kind of party. Good, I thought. I hadn't announced I was coming. I wanted to surprise Monique, wanted to see her face light up the way it used to when we were kids and I'd come home from college. I wanted to hug her, to finally talk to her after months of missed calls and strange excuses from her husband about why she couldn't come to the phone. Something had been wrong for a while, and I'd felt it in my gut, but I'd been busy with a major case. Too busy. That guilt still eats at me. I walked up those front steps, my heart beating with anticipation. But when I got to the doorway, when I actually looked inside, my heart stopped completely. There, right there on the welcome mat, just inside the entrance, was a crumpled heap of gray rags. I thought at first it was trash someone had forgotten to take out, maybe old cleaning cloths or something. But then the heap moved. A thin, skeletal hand emerged from beneath the fabric, and I saw skin stretched tight over bones, nails broken and dirty. And then I saw her face. Monique, my sister, my baby sister, who used to dance around our mama's kitchen, who'd graduated top of her class in design school, who'd had such fire in her eyes on her wedding day. She was lying on that doormat like she was nothing, like she was less than human. Her beautiful dark skin had turned ashy and gray. Her hair, which she'd always kept natural and gorgeous, was matted and tangled. She wore what looked like an old burlap sack that had been roughly sewn into a dress, and it was covered in stains I didn't want to identify. The smell hit me then, sour and unwashed. The smell of someone who'd been denied basic dignity for so long they'd stopped fighting for it. I stood there frozen, unable to process what I was seeing. My mind refused to accept it. This couldn't be Monique. This couldn't be my sister. Not in the house I'd bought her, not in the life I'd helped her build. But it was. God help me, it was her. And then he walked in. Devin Harris, my brother-in-law, 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive charcoal suit that probably cost $3,000. His shoes were Italian leather, and they were covered in thick mud from the garden. He was laughing at something, holding a glass of champagne in one hand, and on his arm was a woman I'd never seen before. Her name, I'd later learn, was Simone.
Devin wasn't looking where he was walking. Or maybe he was. Maybe he knew exactly what he was doing when he stepped toward my sister's crumpled form on that mat. He placed the sole of his muddy shoe directly on her back, right between her shoulder blades that were visible through the thin fabric, and he scraped his foot back and forth. He was wiping the mud off his expensive shoes onto my sister's body like she was nothing more than a rug, like she was an object put there for his convenience. Monique made a sound. God, that sound. It was a whimper, soft and accepting. The sound of someone who'd been broken so thoroughly that pain was just expected. She didn't even try to move away. She just lay there and took it. The woman on his arm, this Simone, she giggled, actually giggled. "Devin, honey," she said in this high, vapid voice, "you're getting dirt on the floor." And Devin laughed. The sound came from deep in his chest, satisfied and pleased with himself. He raised his voice, projecting it across the crowded foyer where at least 30 people stood drinking and chatting. "Don't mind us, everyone," he announced, wiping his other shoe on Monique's shoulder. "That's just our crazy maid. She loves sleeping on the mat, thinks she's a watchdog or something. We keep her around out of charity, family obligation." The guests laughed nervously. Some looked uncomfortable and turned away. Others actually smiled, like this was all just eccentric party entertainment. Not one single person said a word in my sister's defense. Not one person asked if she needed help. They just sipped their champagne and looked away from the woman being degraded right in front of them. That's when something inside me snapped. No, that's not the right word. Nothing snapped. Something crystallized. Something turned from soft tissue into cold, hard steel. The lawyer in me, the fighter who'd clawed her way up from nothing, who'd won cases against billion-dollar corporations, who'd learned to weaponize the law like a sword, she woke up, and she was furious. I didn't scream. Screaming is what powerless people do. Screaming is emotion without strategy. And I needed strategy. I needed precision. I needed to hurt him in ways he wouldn't understand until it was far too late to stop it. So instead, I took one single step forward, out of the shadows of the doorway and into the light of that chandeliered foyer. The change was immediate. The people closest to the door stopped talking mid-sentence. They saw something in my face, something in my eyes that made them go quiet. That silence spread like a wave through the crowd. Conversations died. Glasses stopped clinking. Even the music seemed to fade into the background. Within 10 seconds, that entire room had gone deadly silent, and everyone was staring at the doorway, at me. Devin felt the change in the air. He turned around slowly, still smiling, still riding high on his sense of power and control. But when his eyes met mine, I saw something flicker across his face. Confusion first, then recognition, then something that might have been fear before he covered it with that smooth, charming mask he wore so well. But he wasn't the first person to really react. Standing in the center of the room, holding a crystal tumbler of whiskey, was a woman I recognized from photos. Patricia Harris, Devin's mother, a tall, elegant woman in her 70s with silver hair pulled back in a tight bun and pearls around her neck. She was what people call old money, the kind of woman who measures worth by bloodlines and bank accounts. And when she saw me, her face went absolutely white. The color just drained out of her skin like someone had pulled a plug. The crystal glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor with a sound like a gunshot. Whiskey splashed across the hems of expensive dresses, but nobody moved, nobody breathed. "Vanessa Mitchell," Patricia whispered, and her voice carried in that absolute silence. "We were told you were overseas, unreachable." I looked at her for a long moment, letting her discomfort grow. Then I shifted my gaze to Devin. He was trying to recover, trying to get that smooth mask back in place. I watched him make a decision. I saw it happen in his eyes. He was going to try to control this situation. He was going to try to make me seem like the problem. Devin's face transformed into an expression of concern so fake it would have been funny if I weren't standing 10 feet from my sister's broken body. He stepped toward me with his arms outstretched, like he was approaching a confused child.
Vanessa! Oh my God, Vanessa, is it really you? He turned to the guests with this tragic expression. Everyone, this is my wife's sister. Poor thing, we've been so worried about her.
He moved closer, and I could smell the expensive cologne he wore, mixed with the faint sharpness of champagne on his breath. I could see the calculation in his eyes. She called us last week completely disoriented, he continued, speaking to the room like I wasn't even there. Didn't know what day it was, couldn't remember her own address. The doctors warned us this would happen, early onset dementia, just like her sister. It runs in the family, you see. He reached out and grabbed my elbow, his fingers digging in with shocking force. The grip was meant to hurt, meant to control, meant to move me. But I didn't even flinch. 25 years of courtroom battles had taught me how to absorb pain without showing it. I just looked at him with that same cold, steady gaze. "She doesn't know where she is," Devin said, his voice dripping with false sympathy as he tried to steer me toward the staircase. "Probably walked here from God knows where. We need to get her settled, get her medication. So sorry about this, everyone. Family drama, you understand." The crowd was buying it. I could see it in their faces. It was easier to believe Devin, to believe that both sisters were crazy, than to confront the horror of what was really happening in this house. They wanted the comfortable lie so they could finish their champagne and go home without the burden of knowing they'd witnessed abuse and done nothing. But Patricia was staring at me with different eyes now. She was looking at me the way you look at a bomb that might or might not be live. She knew who I was. She knew what I'd done for Monique, and I could see her mind working, trying to figure out how much I knew, how much danger I posed to their carefully constructed house of cards. Devin was pulling me toward the stairs, his grip tight enough to bruise. The guests were starting to turn back to their conversations. The moment was passing, the awkwardness fading. They were going to let him take me away. They were going to go back to their party while my sister lay on the floor like garbage. But I wasn't finished, not even close. I looked past Devin's shoulder and made direct eye contact with Simone, the woman in the red dress who'd giggled while Devin wiped his shoes on Monique. She was standing there with her champagne glass raised halfway to her lips, frozen like a statue. And when our eyes met, I saw recognition dawn on her face. Real recognition. She knew who I was. "Oh my God," Simone breathed, loud enough for everyone to hear. Her face had gone pale beneath her makeup. That's Vanessa Mitchell, the attorney, the one who—" "Quiet," Devin hissed at her, his mask slipping for just a second. Fury flashed across his face before he got it under control again. But it was too late. The seed was planted. People were looking at me differently now, uncertainty creeping into their expressions. I could have spoken then. I could have made my stand right there in that foyer. But I needed time. I needed to understand the full scope of what Devin had done, how deep this went, what legal mechanisms he'd used to trap my sister in this hell. Going off half-cocked would just give him time to cover his tracks, to destroy evidence, to shore up his defenses. No, I needed him to think he'd won. I needed him to underestimate me. So I let my shoulders slump. I let my eyes go a little unfocused and watery, mimicking the dementia patients I'd seen during my volunteer work at the senior center. I let my head tilt to the side in confusion. "Devin, where's Monique? I came to visit Monique. Is this her house? The colors are all wrong. When did she repaint?" The tension in Devin's shoulders released immediately. I felt his grip on my arm loosen slightly. He'd gotten what he wanted. He'd seen what he needed to see, a broken, confused woman who posed no threat to him whatsoever.
"That's right, Vanessa," he said in a soothing, condescending tone that made my skin crawl. "This is Monique's house, but she's resting right now. You should rest too. Come on, let me show you to a room where you can lie down." He steered me up the grand staircase, past walls covered in expensive art I recognized as pieces Monique had chosen when she was still herself, still the vibrant designer with impeccable taste. But as we climbed higher, the art changed. The bright, hopeful pieces gave way to dark, oppressive paintings of hunting scenes and storms. Devon's choices, Devon's taste imposing itself over my sister's light. We went down a hallway, past the master bedroom, past several guest rooms with their doors standing open to reveal beautifully furnished spaces. But Devon didn't take me to any of those rooms. He took me to the very end of the hall, to a narrow door I remembered as a linen closet. He opened it, and I saw stairs leading down to the basement. We descended into darkness. The temperature dropped with each step, the air growing damp and stale. He pulled a chain to turn on a bare bulb that swung from the ceiling, casting moving shadows across cement walls. This wasn't the finished basement I remembered, with its rec room and bar area. This was the storage section, the mechanical room where the furnace lived. In the corner sat a narrow cot with a bare, stained mattress, a single folding chair, nothing else. This was where he was going to lock me up. Devon shoved me toward the cot hard enough that I stumbled and had to catch myself on the wall. Then he turned to face me, and his entire demeanor changed. The concerned, loving brother-in-law vanished. What remained was something cold and cruel, a predator who'd cornered his prey and could finally drop the pretense. "Listen to me very carefully, you dried-up old bitch," he said, his voice low and venomous. He stepped close, and I could smell the champagne on his breath, mixed with something sour underneath. "I don't know what the hell you think you're doing here, but you picked the wrong time to show up. In 3 days, I have a judge signing papers that will make me Monique's legal guardian. Once that happens, your sister becomes my property to do with as I please. And you know what? I think you're going to join her." He pulled out his phone and showed me a document on the screen. Even in the dim light, I could see the official seal, the legal language, incompetency hearing, emergency guardianship, my sister's name, and now my name too, listed as respondents. "Dr. Shaw is my golf buddy," Devon continued, enjoying himself now. "He's already signed off on both your diagnoses: severe dementia, danger to yourselves and others. The judge is another friend. This is a done deal, Vanessa. In 3 days, you and your precious sister will both be declared incompetent, and I will have full control of everything: her accounts, her assets, and that fat life insurance policy I took out on her 2 years ago." The life insurance. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just abuse. This wasn't just theft. This was premeditated murder. Devon saw the realization hit me, and he smiled. It was the smile of a man who thought he'd already won. "That's right," he said. "Inside 3 days, you'll both be safely committed to a nice facility upstate, one that doesn't ask too many questions. Well, accidents happen, medication mix-ups, such a tragedy. I'll cry at the funeral, I promise. And then Simone and I will take our $2 million and disappear to the Cayman Islands, where we've already purchased a lovely little villa." He leaned in close, his face inches from mine. "If you try to talk to anyone, if you try to call for help, if you make even one wrong move, I will hurt Monique in ways that will make sleeping on that doormat seem like a vacation. Do you understand me?" I looked at him. I really looked at him. I searched that face for any trace of the man Monique had fallen in love with, the man who'd promised to love and cherish her in sickness and in health. But there was nothing there. Just greed and cruelty and a kind of casual evil that thought itself clever. I let tears fill my eyes. I let my lip tremble. "Please," I whispered, "please don't hurt her. I'll be good. I'll be quiet. Just don't hurt Monique.
Devin straightened up, satisfied. That's what I thought. Dementia or not, you're still smart enough to know when you're beaten. He walked to the door, then paused and looked back. Oh, and Vanessa, don't bother trying to escape. This door locks from the outside, and the only windows down here are 8 feet up and screwed shut. Welcome to your new home. He left, and I heard the deadbolt slide into place with a heavy final sound. Thunk, thunk. His footsteps retreated up the stairs. A door closed. I was alone in the cold, damp basement with that bare bulb swinging overhead, casting long, dancing shadows. And then I smiled, because Devin Harris had just made the biggest mistake of his miserable life. He told me everything. He'd laid out his entire plan like an idiot villain in a bad movie, so confident in his victory that he couldn't help but gloat. He'd given me names: Dr. Shaw, the corrupt doctor; Judge Morrison, the complicit judge. He told me about the life insurance, the timeline, the offshore accounts. He'd handed me everything I needed to destroy him, and he thought I was helpless. I stood up from the cot and examined the door. The lock was old, a simple deadbolt mechanism that probably hadn't been updated since the house was built. I reached up and removed the bobby pin I always kept in my hair, a habit from my days as a young public defender when I'd had clients teach me all sorts of useful skills in exchange for legal advice. You'd be surprised what a good criminal can teach you about locks. It took me less than 2 minutes to pick it. The lock clicked open with a sound like a sigh. I eased the door ajar just enough to listen. Silence. Above, the party was still going on upstairs, music and voices creating enough noise that no one would hear me moving around down here. I didn't leave the basement right away. I needed to think, to plan. I sat back down on that disgusting cot and let the fury I'd been suppressing wash over me. My hands shook with it. My whole body trembled with the force of the rage I felt. But I couldn't let emotion drive me. Emotion made you sloppy. Emotion made you miss things. I needed to be cold, calculated, precise. I needed evidence, real evidence, not just Devin's confession to me. I needed documentation, witnesses, a paper trail that would stand up in court and destroy him so thoroughly he'd never see daylight again. And I had 3 days to get it. The next morning, I heard footsteps on the basement stairs. I quickly lay back on the cot and resumed my confused, scared demeanor. The door opened, and an older black woman entered carrying a tray. She had gray hair pulled back in a neat bun and kind eyes that had seen too much suffering. She set the tray on the folding chair, a bowl of oatmeal, a glass of water, a napkin. "Good morning, ma'am," she said softly. Her name tag read Ruthie. "I brought you breakfast." I made my voice weak and trembling.
Thank you. You're very kind. What's your name?
"Ruthie, ma'am. I'm the housekeeper." I looked at the oatmeal, my stomach turning. After what Devin said about medication, about drugging us, I didn't trust anything they gave me to eat or drink, but I couldn't let on that I suspected anything. Ruthie watched me staring at the food. Then she did something strange. She glanced back at the door to make sure no one was there, and then she leaned down close to my ear. "Don't eat it," she whispered, so quiet I almost missed it. "They put powder in the food, makes your mind foggy, makes your legs weak. Only drink tap water from the bathroom sink, never from bottles or glasses they give you." She straightened up quickly as we heard footsteps above. In a louder, normal voice, she said, "You enjoy that now, ma'am. Ring this bell if you need anything." She pointed to a small bell on the tray that I hadn't noticed. Then she left, locking the door behind her. But before she did, she pressed something in my hand, a small piece of paper folded tight. I waited until her footsteps faded completely before I unfolded the note. The handwriting was shaky but clear. "They're poisoning both of you. Monique knows. She hides messages. Check the laundry room behind the dryer. Blue box. I'll help you if I can. They're evil. R."
I stared at that note for a long time, feeling hope surge in my chest for the first time since I'd walked into this house of horrors. I wasn't alone. Ruthie had seen what was happening. She'd been watching, documenting in her own way. And Monique, my beautiful, brilliant sister, she wasn't as broken as they thought. She was hiding messages. She was leaving clues. She was fighting back in the only way she could. I looked at the bowl of oatmeal on the tray. I could see it now, the faint white residue mixed in with the brown sugar and cream. Poison. They'd been poisoning her for months, maybe years, slowly stealing her mind while keeping her body weak and compliant. I carried the bowl into the small bathroom attached to the basement room and dumped it in the toilet, flushing away their poison. Then I drank water from the tap, letting the cold liquid clear my head and strengthen my resolve. That night, I waited until the house went quiet, until I was sure everyone was asleep. Then I picked the lock again and crept up the basement stairs. The house was dark, except for night lights in the hallways. I moved like a ghost through rooms I'd helped furnish 15 years ago, past furniture I'd helped Monique choose when she was still happy, still whole. I found the laundry room off the kitchen. It smelled of detergent and fabric softener, normal and domestic. Such a sharp contrast to the evil being committed in this house. I squeezed behind the dryer, feeling along the wall until my fingers touched something, a metal box, the kind you'd keep recipes in. I pulled it out carefully and opened it. Inside wasn't recipes. Inside was a journal, pages and pages in Monique's handwriting, though it had deteriorated over time. The early entries were neat and controlled. The later ones were barely legible scrawls. I sat right there on the laundry room floor and read my sister's descent into hell. March 3rd, Devin came home angry again, lost money at cards. He shoved me into the wall and called me useless. He said if I told anyone, he'd make sure I regretted it. I believe him. April 17th. He took the checkbook for my business account, said he needed to cover some expenses. When I confronted him, he slapped me. First time he's ever hit me in the face. I can't go to work tomorrow. The bruise is too visible. June 22nd. Money is missing. Over $50,000 gone from the business account. When I confronted him, he said I'd probably spent it and forgotten. Am I forgetting things? I feel so confused lately. The pills Dr. Shaw gave me for anxiety make me so foggy.
September 10th. Patricia came to visit. She told me I'm ruining her son's life. She said I'm not good enough for their family, that I never was. Devin just stood there and let her say those things. Later, he told me she's right. He said he deserves better than me. November 2nd. I tried to call Vanessa today. Devin ripped the phone out of my hand and threw it against the wall. He said Vanessa is too busy with important things to care about my dramatics. He said I'm not allowed to contact her anymore. I miss my sister. I need my sister. January 15th. I woke up on the kitchen floor this morning. I don't remember how I got there. My clothes were dirty and I had bruises on my arms. Devin said I had an episode. Dr. Shah increased my medication. I'm so tired all the time now. March 28th. Simone came to dinner. Devin introduced her as his business partner, but I saw the way they looked at each other. I saw him touch her hand. When I said something, he told me I was delusional. Dr. Shaw added another medication. How many pills am I taking now? I've lost count. June 9th. They're living together now, Devin and Simone. They don't even hide it anymore. I sleep in the servants' quarters. Sometimes they make me serve them dinner. Patricia told me I should be grateful they're keeping me around. She said most men would have just put me in an institution by now. August 1st. I remember now. I remember being different. I remember being strong. The fog lifts sometimes late at night when the drugs wear off. I found my old design portfolio in the attic. I cried for hours. That woman in those pictures, was that really me? Can I ever be her again? October 12th.
Devin is planning something. I heard him talking to Dr. Shaw about life insurance, about accidents, about making it look natural. I'm not crazy. I know what I heard, but who would believe me? Look at me. I'm nothing now. I'm nobody. October 20th. Vanessa, if you ever read this, please know I tried to hold on. I tried to wait for you. I knew you'd come eventually. I hid this box where Devin would never think to look. I documented everything I could. The bank statements are in the attic behind the insulation in the northeast corner. The medication bottles are in a plastic bag taped under the bathroom sink in the blue guest room. The recordings are on a thumb drive hidden inside the old clock in the library. I love you, sister. Save yourself if you can't save me. Don't let him win. I sat there on the cold laundry room floor with tears streaming down my face. My sister's pain bled through every word on those pages, but underneath the grief, something else was building, a cold, focused determination. Monique had given me a roadmap. She'd left me everything I needed to bury Devin so deep he'd never see light again. I heard a sound and quickly shoved the journal back in the box, then back behind the dryer. Footsteps were coming down the hall. I slipped into the pantry just as the kitchen light flicked on. It was Devin and Simone. Through the crack in the pantry door, I watched them move around the kitchen. Devin was still dressed, but Simone wore a silk robe. They were comfortable here, acting like this was their house, their kingdom. "Did you give her the pills?" Simone asked, pouring herself a glass of wine. "The doctor left them. Ruthie will put them in her food tomorrow, double dose, just like he prescribed. And the sister, same treatment. In 3 days, they'll both be vegetables. Judge Morrison will sign the papers without even reading them. I've already paid him $50,000 to make it happen fast." Simone leaned against the counter, swirling her wine. "What about Ruthie? She's been looking at me funny. You think she suspects?" Devin laughed. "Ruthie's been with the family for 30 years. She's terrified of my mother. She won't say anything. And even if she did, who'd believe a housekeeper over a respected businessman and a doctor?" "I just want this over with," Simone said, and I heard actual fear in her voice. That Vanessa woman, when she looked at me today, I swear to God, Devin, I've never seen eyes like that. She looked like she wanted to kill me. "Vanessa's harmless," Devin scoffed. "She's a lawyer, not a mob boss. And in 3 days, she'll be drooling in a padded room, unable to even remember her own name. Everything's going according to plan." "What about the house? You said your name was on the deed." I heard papers rustling. "Forged it 2 years ago," Devin said proudly. "Had a buddy in the county clerk's office file it. Vanessa's signature isn't perfect, but it's close enough. By the time anyone thinks to check, we'll be long gone." $2 million, Simone breathed. "God, I can't wait to be on that beach in the Caymans." 2.5, actually, Devin corrected. "I increased Monique's policy last month, and I've got life insurance on Vanessa, too. Took it out the day she arrived. If she dies in my care, that's another $1 million. We're looking at $3.5 million total, plus whatever we get from selling this place and liquidating Monique's remaining assets." They were talking about murdering me and my sister like we were livestock, like we were just numbers in a profit column. I pressed my mouth to keep from screaming. I needed to hear everything. I needed every detail. "When?" Simone asked. 6 weeks after the commitment, Devin said. "Dr. Shaw will handle it. Overdose made to look accidental, the medication mix-up story, tragic but plausible. I'll cry at the funeral, maybe even give a touching eulogy about mental illness awareness, and then we disappear." "Your mother's okay with all this?" "My mother wants Monique gone as badly as I do. She never thought Monique was good enough for our family anyway. She'll back up whatever story we tell. Family loyalty." They left the kitchen eventually, heading upstairs to bed. I stayed in that pantry for another 20 minutes, making sure they were really gone, making sure I was safe to move. Then I crept back to my basement prison and locked myself in from the inside. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay on that filthy cot staring at the ceiling, my mind working through scenarios, building a case, constructing the legal scaffold that would hang Devin Harris and everyone who'd helped him. But I had a problem, a big one. In 3 days, that corrupt judge was going to sign papers declaring Monique and me incompetent. Once that happened, nothing we said would matter. We'd be committed, drugged, helpless. Devin would have all the legal cover he needed to murder us at his leisure. I needed to move faster than their timeline. I needed to strike first, strike hard, and strike with absolute precision. And I needed help, real help, professional help. The next morning, Ruthie brought my breakfast again. This time, when she set down the tray, I was ready. "Ruthie," I said quietly, "I need to use a phone, just for 5 minutes. Can you help me?" She looked terrified. "Ma'am, I could lose my job. Mr. Harris, he checks the phone records. He monitors everything." "I know," I interrupted, my voice low but firm. "But in 3 days, he's going to have my sister and me committed, and then he's going to kill us. You know that's what he's planning. You've seen it. You've heard things." Tears filled her kind eyes. She nodded. "I knew Mrs. Monique before," she whispered, "before she got sick, or before they made her sick. She was so kind to me. She treated me like family, and I've watched them destroy her. I've watched them turn her into that broken thing. I've wanted to help, but I was scared. I have grandchildren who depend on me. If you help me," I said, "I will make sure you never have to worry about money again. I swear it on my life. I have resources Devin doesn't know about. I can protect you, but I need to make one phone call." She wrestled with the decision for a long moment, her hands wringing the edge of her apron. Then she pulled a cell phone out of her pocket, an old flip phone, not a smartphone. "This was my daughter's," she said. "It's not registered to me or connected to any account. I keep it for emergencies. You have 5 minutes. I'll keep watch." I took that phone like it was made of gold. My hands were shaking as I dialed the number I knew by heart. It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. "Jerome Patterson?" I almost sobbed with relief. Jerome had been my law partner for 15 years. We'd built our firm together from nothing. He was the only person in the world I trusted completely. "Jerome," I said, my voice cracking. "It's Vanessa. I need help. I need it now, and I need it quiet." There was a pause. When he spoke again, his voice was sharp, alert. "Where are you? Are you safe?" "No, I'm in a basement in Georgia, and there are people trying to have me declared incompetent so they can murder me and steal everything I own. I have maybe 3 days before they succeed." "Jesus Christ, Vanessa, what?" "No time," I cut him off. "Listen to me carefully. I need you to file emergency motions in Fulton County Superior Court, not the county where I am now. The judge here is bought. Fulton County, Judge Alicia Reynolds. You remember her?" "Reynolds? The judge whose daughter we represented on that assault case? That's the one. She owes us big time. File for emergency protective orders for me and my sister, Monique Brooks. File for a competency evaluation by an independent psychiatrist, not the bot doctor here. File to freeze all joint assets and accounts. And Jerome, file criminal complaints, fraud, forgery, false imprisonment, conspiracy to commit murder, all of it." I could hear him writing frantically on the other end. "I'll need evidence, documentation." "I have it. My sister documented everything. I just need time to retrieve it. Bank statements showing theft, medication bottles proving they've been drugging us, recordings of Devin discussing the murder plot. It's all here. I just need time to gather it." "How much time do you need?" 2 days. The competency hearing is scheduled for day 3. I need you to get Judge Reynolds to issue an emergency stay and transfer jurisdiction to her court. Can you do that? For you, I'll get it done if I have to camp out in her chambers. But Vanessa, are you really safe there? Should I send police? Not yet. If police come now, Devin will destroy the evidence. I need to get everything first. Then we drop the hammer all at once. Jesus, V, this is insane. I know, I said, my voice breaking. But it's my sister, Jerome. They've destroyed her, and I'm going to make them pay for every second of it. We hung up. I handed the phone back to Ruthie, who made it disappear back into her pocket. Thank you, I told her, squeezing her hand. You just saved 2 lives. She left, and I spent the rest of that day planning. I made mental notes of everywhere Monique had said she'd hidden evidence. The attic, the blue guest bathroom, the library. I needed to get to all of it without being caught. That night I moved. I picked my lock again and ghosted through the dark house like a phantom. First stop, the attic. I found the access panel, pulled myself up, and crawled through the insulation until I found the northeast corner. There, in a plastic bag, were bank statements going back 5 years. I could see the trail clearly, regular transfers from Monique's business account to offshore accounts in Devin's name, $400,000 stolen systematically over years. Next, the blue guest bathroom. I found the plastic bag taped under the sink, filled with prescription bottles. The labels showed escalating dosages of powerful sedatives and antipsychotics, all prescribed by Dr. Vincent Shaw. Enough medication to turn a healthy person into a zombie. Finally, the library. The old mantel clock stood on the shelf just where Monique said it would be. I opened the back panel and found the thumb drive taped inside. I took everything back to my basement room and hid it all in the ceiling tiles. Evidence secured. The next day was day 2. Devin came to visit me in the basement. He brought Dr. Shaw with him, a thin, nervous man in his 60s with thinning hair and the eyes of someone who knew he'd crossed lines he could never uncross. Just a quick examination, Dr. Shaw said in that condescending tone doctors use with patients they don't respect. He checked my blood pressure, shined a light in my eyes, asked me basic questions designed to establish cognitive decline. I played my part perfectly. I forgot what year it was. I couldn't remember where I lived. I got confused about simple tasks. Dr. Shaw nodded and made notes on his clipboard. Advanced dementia, he pronounced. She's a danger to herself. Immediate commitment is necessary. Devin tried to hide his satisfaction, but I saw it in his eyes. Victory was so close he could taste it. After they left, I lay on that cot and smiled at the ceiling, because what Devin didn't know was that while Dr. Shaw was examining me, I'd recorded the entire visit on Ruthie's cell phone. I'd recorded Devin coaching the doctor before they came downstairs. I'd recorded Dr. Shaw agreeing to falsify his findings in exchange for continued payments. More evidence for the pile. That afternoon, Ruthie came to tell me something in hushed whispers. "There's a gala tomorrow night," she said, "here at the house. Big charity fundraiser, 200 guests. Mr. Harris is the host." "What's the charity?" I asked. Her face twisted with disgust. "Mental health awareness. He's raising money for dementia research. He's going to give a speech about caring for his poor, sick wife and sister-in-law." The absolute audacity, the sheer breathtaking evil of it. Devin was going to use Monique's suffering, the suffering he caused, as a prop for his own image. He was going to stand in front of wealthy donors and play the sympathetic caregiver while my sister was locked away, drugged, and broken. And that's when I knew exactly how this was going to end. Not in a quiet courtroom with lawyers and judges, not in a private settlement behind closed doors. No, Devin wanted a public stage. I'd give him one. I'd give him an audience he'd never forget. "Ruthie," I said, "I need you to do something for me, something important." I told her my plan. She looked terrified, but she nodded. "For Mrs. Monique," she said, "I'll do it." The next day was day 3. the day of the gala, the day Devin thought he'd finally won. I spent the morning preparing. I showered for the first time in days in the basement's gritty little stall, washing away the grime and the smell of that prison. Ruthie, bless her, had snuck me some proper clothes, a black pantsuit and a white blouse, simple, professional, authoritative. I did my hair and my makeup as best I could with the limited supplies. When I looked in the cracked mirror in the basement bathroom, I saw the lawyer again. I saw the fighter, the woman I'd worked so hard to become before this house had tried to turn me into a ghost. Ruthie also brought Monique to me. My sister looked so small, so fragile, wrapped in a thin blanket, but her eyes were clearer than they'd been. Ruthie had been switching her pills for vitamins like I'd asked. The drugs were leaving her system slowly but surely. "Vanessa?" Monique whispered when she saw me. Real recognition, not the foggy confusion of the drugged. "Is it really you?" I held her so tight I thought I might break her. She felt like a bird, all bones and tremors. "I'm here, baby girl. I'm here, and this ends tonight. Do you understand? It all ends tonight." She started crying, soft hiccuping sobs into my shoulder, and I cried with her, but these were good tears, clean tears, tears that washed away the horror and left room for hope. "Can you walk?" I asked her. "Can you stand up straight?" "I think so," she said, her voice papery but determined. "I'm weak, but I can try." Ruthie had brought her a dress, one of Monique's old designer outfits from before, from when she was still herself. It was a deep emerald green that made her skin glow against the stark pallor of her illness. We helped her into it, and she stood there, trembling but upright, a flicker of her old fire returning to her eyes. "You're beautiful," I told her, tucking a stray curl behind her ear. "You're so beautiful. And tonight, everyone is going to see what they did to you, and they're going to pay." The gala started at 7. By 6:30, the house was filling with guests. I could hear them arriving, hear the string quartet starting, hear Devin's booming, polished voice welcoming everyone. The smell of expensive perfume and catered hors d'oeuvres seeped even into the basement. Ruthie came to get us at 7:15. "Everyone's here," she whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "Judge Morrison just arrived. He's carrying the papers." "Perfect," I said. We climbed the basement stairs one last time, Monique holding onto my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. At the top of the stairs, there was a door that led directly to the upper hallway, bypassing the kitchen. We slipped through and made our way to the grand staircase that overlooked the main foyer. Below us, the party was in full swing, 200 people in tuxedos and downs, glittering under the crystal chandeliers, drinking champagne, completely unaware that they were about to witness something they'd never forget. Devin was standing on a small raised platform by the fireplace, looking magnificent in his tuxedo, a picture of benevolent success. Beside him stood Judge Morrison, a heavy-set man with a florid face and greedy, shifty eyes. And there, near the back, partially obscured by a potted fern, I saw her, Judge Alicia Reynolds. She'd come just like Jerome said she would. She wore a simple navy dress and held a leather folder under her arm. When she caught my eye from across the room, she gave me the smallest, almost imperceptible nod. Everything was in place. Devin was in the middle of his speech, his voice, smooth and practiced, carried across the room, amplified by a discreet microphone on his lapel. "And so we must have compassion for those suffering from these terrible diseases. My own wife, my beloved Monique, has been struck down in the prime of her life, and now my sister-in-law as well." He paused, lowering his head in a show of grief so convincing it turned my stomach. "It breaks my heart to see them struggle, to watch their minds deteriorate, but I will never abandon them. I will care for them no matter the cost, no matter the burden. That is why tonight your generosity means so much." The guests were nodding sympathetically. Some of the women were dabbing their eyes with napkins. They were eating up every word of his performance. I looked at Monique. "Ready?" She took a deep, shuddering breath and nodded. "Let's make them see." We stepped to the edge of the landing, into the full light of the central chandelier. For a moment, nobody noticed us. They were all focused on Devon's touching speech about sacrifice and love. But then someone looked up. A woman in a silver gown gasped, her champagne flute pausing halfway to her lips. She tapped the shoulder of the man next to her. He looked up and froze. The reaction spread through the crowd like a wave, a ripple of turning heads and silenced conversations, until the entire room had gone utterly silent, and every single person was staring at the two women on the stairs. Devon felt the change in energy. His speech faltered. "To support research?" He turned, following their gazes, and saw us standing there. The color drained from his face. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. He looked like a man seeing a ghost, but we weren't ghosts. We were very much alive, and we were about to become his worst nightmare. Monique and I descended the staircase slowly, deliberately. My heels clicked on each marble step, the sound echoing in the profound silence. Every eye in that room was on us. I heard whispers starting. "Isn't that? She looks different. They said she was too sick to." We walked through the crowd. They parted before us like the Red Sea, a sea of confused, astonished faces. Devon stood frozen on his platform, the microphone hanging from his limp hand. Judge Morrison looked like he wanted to dissolve into the floor. I walked up to the platform and calmly took the microphone from Devon's nerveless fingers. He didn't resist. He couldn't. He was in shock. I turned to face the crowd. 200 of Georgia's wealthiest and most connected citizens looked back at me with confused, curious faces. Among them, I spotted politicians, business leaders, society matrons. Perfect. "Good evening," I said, and my voice rang clear and strong through the sound system without a trace of tremor. "My name is Vanessa Mitchell. I'm an attorney, and I'm Monique's sister, the sister that Devon just told you has dementia, the sister he's been keeping locked in his basement for the past 3 days." A collective gasp swept the room. Devon tried to speak. She's confused." "I'm not confused," I cut him off, my eyes never leaving the crowd. "I'm angry. There's a difference." I gestured to Monique, who stood beside me, back straight, chin lifted. "This is my sister, Monique. Beautiful, isn't she?" I let that hang in the air. "Though I imagine she looks different from how you might have seen her earlier this evening. Maybe some of you saw her sleeping on the doormat by the front door, wearing rags, being used as a shoe scraper by her husband. Or maybe that was the crazy maid he told you about." The gasps turned to murmurs of shock. People were looking at each other, at Devon, their faces a canvas of dawning horror and disbelief. "You see," I continued, my voice dropping to a more intimate, damning register, "Devon has been telling everyone that Monique has dementia, that she's lost her mind. But what he hasn't told you is that he's the one who destroyed her mind. He's been drugging her for over 18 months with powerful sedatives and antipsychotics, all prescribed by his good friend, Dr. Vincent Shaw." I scanned the crowd. "Would the good doctor like to stand up and take a bow?" I spotted Dr. Shaw trying to slip toward the exit, his face ashen. "Don't even think about leaving, Vincent," I said, my voice sharp as a blade. "The doors are locked and there are police outside." That was a bluff. The police weren't here yet, but he didn't know that. He froze, trapped. "Devon didn't just drug my sister," I said, turning back to the riveted, horrified crowd. "He stole from her $400,000 from her business accounts. He gambled it away, and when she threatened to leave him, he decided it would be easier to have her declared incompetent and then murder her for the life insurance money." This is insane! Devon finally found his voice, but it was shrill, panicked. She's making this up. Everyone can see she's delusional. Am I? I reached into the inner pocket of my jacket and pulled out the thumb drive, holding it for all to see. This drive contains audio recordings of you discussing your murder plot with Dr. Shaw. Should we play them for everyone, right now? Devon went absolutely white, the blood leaving his face so completely he looked cadaverous under the bright lights. But my favorite part, I continued, my tone turning almost conversational, is how you forged the deed to this house, the house that I bought from my sister 15 years ago, the house that was never yours. You had someone in the county clerk's office file fraudulent documents putting your name on the title. You thought you were so clever, but you made one critical mistake. I pulled out another document from my folder, the original deed. You forged my signature, but I never signed anything, and I have the original deed, the real one, filed in Fulton County where I actually live, the one that proves this house belongs to Monique and me, not you. I looked directly at him, letting every ounce of my contempt show. It was never yours, Devon. None of it was ever yours. Judge Morrison was backing away slowly, trying to disappear into the crowd. "Oh, Judge Morrison," I called out, my voice slicing through the room. "Don't go anywhere. We need to talk about those papers you were about to sign, the incompetency declaration, the one your brother-in-law paid you $50,000 to rubber stamp without actually reading. That's what we call bribery, Your Honor, and in Georgia, that's a felony that comes with automatic disbarment." Morrison turned and actually ran for the door. He slammed into it, yanked the handle. It didn't budge. And at that exact moment, the front door opened from the outside. Real police officers poured in, along with Jerome Patterson, my law partner, who I'd called when Ruthie let me use the phone again that afternoon. And behind Jerome came Judge Alicia Reynolds, her letter folder now open in her hands.
Devin Harris, Judge Reynolds announced in her powerful courtroom voice that cut through the chaos. I am issuing an emergency order halting all proceedings in the matter of the incompetency declaration. Furthermore, based on evidence presented by Ms. Mitchell's attorney, I am ordering your immediate arrest on charges of fraud, theft, forgery, false imprisonment, and conspiracy to commit murder. The police moved toward Devin. He looked around wildly, trapped, desperate, his eyes darting from the officers to the stunned guests to his mother's horrified face. For a second, I thought he might try to run. Instead, he did something I didn't expect. The polished facade shattered completely, leaving behind raw, unvarnished rage. He lunged at Monique, his face twisted into something inhuman, all pretense of civilization stripped away. He was screaming incoherently, hands reaching for my sister's throat. "You ungrateful bitch! I gave you everything, everything!" But he never reached her, because I stepped between them. I'm not a large woman. I'm 5'6" and 130 on a good day. But 25 years of fighting in courtrooms, fighting for justice, fighting for people who couldn't fight for themselves, all of that was in my posture, in the unblinking stare I fixed on Devin Harris as I stepped into his path. He actually stumbled backward, not because I touched him, but because of what he saw in my eyes. "You gave her nothing," I said, my voice low and deadly quiet in the hushed room. In the hushed room, you took everything. You took her business, her money, her dignity, her health, her mind. You took 3 years of her life and turned them into hell. You turned a brilliant, successful woman into a broken shell sleeping on a doormat. And you thought you'd get away with it because you underestimated her. You thought she was weak. You thought I was weak. I stepped closer. He backed up until he hit the edge of the platform, nearly tripping. "You were wrong," I said, the words final and absolute.
We're not weak. We're survivors, and we're going to watch you pay for every single thing you did." The police had him then. They pulled his arms behind his back, the crisp white cuffs stark against the black of his tuxedo jacket. He was still screaming, but the words had deteriorated into an incoherent roar of fury and fear. They led him away, past the guests who now recoiled from him as if he were contagious. Simone, the mistress in the now seemingly tawdry red dress, was trying to slip out the back way, but Ruthie, bless her brave soul, had moved to block the service entrance. When Simone tried to push past her, Ruthie didn't budge. She planted her feet, a 65-year-old housekeeper facing down her employer's glamorous mistress. "I don't think so," Ruthie said, her voice clear and strong. "You sat in my kitchen and laughed about murdering Mrs. Monique. You're not going anywhere." More officers came through and took Simone into custody. She was crying hysterically, her mascara running in black rivers down her face, begging them to understand. "It was all Devon's idea. I was just following along. I didn't really want to hurt anyone." Nobody believed her. And then Patricia Harris, Devon's mother, tried to make a run for it. The elegant old matriarch gathered her pearls and her shredded dignity and headed for the door with stiff-back haste. But Judge Reynolds stepped into her path. "Mrs. Harris," the judge said coldly, "I have recorded testimony from the housekeeper stating that you were aware of the abuse, that you encouraged it, that you told Monique she deserved it because she wasn't good enough for your family. And I have evidence that you helped Devon access family trust accounts to cover his gambling debts. You're under arrest for conspiracy and as an accessory to attempted murder." Patricia's face crumpled. All the icy superiority melted into the terrified visage of an old woman. "I'm 73 years old," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You can't send me to prison. I'm an old woman." "My sister is only 44, I said, stepping forward. "Her whole life was ahead of her before your son tried to destroy it. You'll forgive me if I don't feel sympathy for your age." They took Patricia, too. 3 people in handcuffs being led out of the gala they'd planned as their victory celebration. The guests stood in shocked silence, witnessing the complete and total collapse of the Harris family's world. When they were gone, I turned to Dr. Shaw. He was still standing by the bar, trembling, looking like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. "You have a choice to make, doctor," I told him. "You can be charged as a co-conspirator in attempted murder, facing 20 years minimum. Or you can testify against Devon, admit what you did, and accept a plea deal. 5 years probation, permanent loss of your medical license, and 500 hours of community service at a free clinic for abuse survivors. Those are your options. You have about 10 seconds to decide." "I'll testify," he choked out immediately, sagging against the bar. "I'll tell them everything, please. I never wanted anyone to actually die. He told me it was just to make her more manageable, to help her relax." "Save it for your confession," I cut him off, my disgust plain. "The police will take your statement now." 2 officers led the broken doctor away. The crowd was starting to disperse, murmuring to each other, pulling out phones, undoubtedly already spreading the story across Atlanta's social networks. By tomorrow morning, everyone would know what Devon Harris had done. Judge Reynolds approached me, her stern expression softening into something like respect. "Well done, counselor. That was quite a performance." "It wasn't a performance, Alicia," I said, the adrenaline beginning to drain, leaving me bone-tired. "It was justice." "The best kind," she agreed. She handed me her folder. "Emergency orders freezing all joint accounts, transferring the house deed but to its rightful owners, and granting you full medical decision-making authority for your sister. Everything you asked for." "Thank you, Alicia. I won't forget this." She squeezed my shoulder. You saved my daughter from a false conviction that would have ruined her life. This doesn't even begin to settle that debt. When the judge left, I finally let myself look at Monique, my sister, my baby sister, who I'd failed to protect for far too long. She was standing there in her emerald dress, tears streaming silently down her face, but she was standing. She was upright. "Is it really over?" she whispered, the words fragile as glass. "Is he really gone?" I pulled her into my arms and held her while she sobbed, deep, racking sobs that shook her thin frame. "It's over, sweetie. It's done. He can never hurt you again." Ruthie came over to us, her own face wet with tears, and we pulled her into the embrace too, a trio of survivors in the ruins of a gala. "Thank you," I told her, my voice thick. "None of this would have been possible without you. Mrs. Monique was always kind to me, always treated me like family. I couldn't just watch them destroy her. I couldn't." The three of us stood there in that foyer, holding each other up while the last of the guests filtered into the night, their whispers fading away. The gala decorations, the twinkling lights, the floral arrangements still hung, but the celebration was long over. The string quartet had stopped playing. The only sounds were the quiet murmurs of the remaining police and Monique's soft, healing cries. Jerome approached, a grim smile on his face. "The police just called from the station. They found records of the offshore accounts, 3.5 million in life insurance policies, just like you said, plus another 2 million in gambling debts. The prosecutor's already talking about adding racketeering charges." "Good," I said, my voice steady. "I want him buried so deep he never sees sunlight again." Over the next few weeks, the pieces fell into place with a satisfying, decisive finality. Devin was denied bail, deemed a flight risk with his offshore accounts. He sat in county jail while the case was built against him. Dr. Shaw gave a full, weeping confession in exchange for his plea deal. Patricia was eventually sentenced to 10 years for her role in the conspiracy. Simone, who had been more actively involved in the planning, got 15. And Devin Harris was convicted on all counts: attempted murder, fraud, theft, false imprisonment, forgery, conspiracy. The evidence was so overwhelming, the jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who had read Monique's journal, sentenced him to 25 years with no possibility of parole. I was there for the sentencing. So was Monique. We sat in the front row of the courtroom, and we watched Devin shuffle in wearing his orange jumpsuit and chains. He looked somehow smaller, diminished. Prison had already started to break down the entitled swagger. When the judge asked if he had anything to say before sentencing, Devin stood up. He looked not at the judge, but directly at Monique. "I'm sorry, Monique," he said, his voice hoarse. "I'm so sorry, Monique. I loved you once. I really did. I don't know what happened to me. The gambling, the debt, the pressure, it changed me into something I never wanted to be." Monique stood up. The bailiff moved towards her, but the judge waved him off. She walked to the defendant's table and looked down at her ex-husband, her expression calm, clear, and utterly devoid of the fear that had once haunted her. "You didn't love me," she said quietly, her voice carrying in the silent room. "You never loved me. You loved what I could give you, my money, my house, my status. And when I wasn't enough anymore, when your greed outgrew my usefulness, you decided to destroy me rather than just let me go." She paused, and I saw a strength in her eyes that made my heart swell. "You didn't lose yourself, Devin. You found yourself. This is who you always were. I just didn't want to see it." She turned and walked back to her seat, her head held high. Devin tried to speak again, to call after her, but the judge cut him off. 25 years, she pronounced. Bailiff, remove the prisoner. We watched them take him away. This time, Monique didn't cry. She just took my hand and squeezed it, her grip firm and sure. It was really over. After the trial, we went back to the house. Our house. Legally, properly ours now, with no forged documents or fake signatures, just clean title and the freedom to decide what to do with it. We spent weeks cleaning it out. It was a ritual, a purge. Everything Devin had brought into that house, his heavy, dark furniture, his clothes that still smelled of his cologne, those awful hunting paintings, all of it went. We donated most to charities that supported women leaving shelters, a bitter irony that felt right. Some things, the most personal, the most tainted, we burned in the backyard fire pit. Watching his expensive suits and silk ties curl and blacken in the flames was surprisingly therapeutic. Monique stood beside me, her face illuminated by the firelight, serene and resolved. Ruthie stayed on, but not as a housekeeper. We made her the house manager with a salary that made her gasp and benefits that made her cry. She'd earned it. She'd risked everything. Her grandchildren would never want for anything again. I made sure of that. Slowly, day by sunlit day, Monique began to heal. With the poison finally out of her system, prescribed now by a kind, ethical doctor we trusted, the fog lifted. Her mind cleared. She was weak at first, physically and emotionally. Some days she couldn't get out of bed, overwhelmed by the memories or the sheer fatigue of recovery. Some days she cried for hours, mourning the lost years. But every day she got a little stronger. She started eating proper meals Ruthie cooked with love. She took short walks in the garden, her steps growing steadier. We found a therapist who specialized in trauma, and Monique began the hard, brave work of untangling the knots Devin had tied in her psyche. 6 months after Devin's conviction, on a bright spring morning when the dogwoods were in full bloom, Monique came to me with an idea. We were having coffee on the back porch, listening to the birds. "The West Wing," she said, her voice still soft but laced with a new, thoughtful determination. "It has 8 bedrooms. They're just sitting empty." "What are you thinking?" I asked, though I already knew. I could see the vision forming behind her eyes. "A shelter," she said. Then she corrected herself. "Not a shelter, a home, a place for women who've been through what I went through. Women whose partners drugged them, isolated them, told them they were crazy. Women who need somewhere safe to heal, not just a cot in a crowded room." I looked at her, at the light in her eyes that had been extinguished for so long, at the set of her shoulders that spoke of purpose regained, and I felt a pride so fierce it stole my breath. "I think that's a perfect idea," I said, my voice thick. We spent the next 6 months converting the West Wing, and my brilliant designer sister came back to life during that project. It was like watching a flower bloom in time-lapse. She pored over fabric swatches and paint samples. She picked out colors that were warm and calming, soft sage greens, creamy whites, serene blues. She designed spaces that felt safe and nurturing, a communal kitchen with a huge farmhouse table where women could cook together, a sun-drenched sitting room with overstuffed chairs and bookshelves, a garden plot where they could grow vegetables and flowers, a quiet library nook. She insisted on good mattresses, soft linens, thick towels. "Dignity," she said to me once, her eyes fierce. "It starts with the small things. They need to feel human again." We called it Monique's house. We hired compassionate counselors and a part-time nurse. We connected with a network of lawyers, including Jerome, who would provide pro bono legal help to the residents. We made it a place where women could stay as long as they needed, where they could rebuild their lives without fear, with support at every step. The first resident moved in on a rainy Tuesday morning. Her name was Jennifer. She was 38, and her story was a haunting echo of Monique's. Her husband, a respected pharmacist, had been slipping antipsychotics into her coffee for 3 years. He'd told her family she was having a psychotic break. She arrived with nothing but a plastic bag of clothes and a terror in her eyes so profound it made my heart ache. Monique met her at the door. She didn't rush her. She just stood there, smiling softly, her own scars invisible but understood. "Welcome home," my sister said, her voice a gentle balm. "You're safe now. I promise you're safe." Jennifer broke down, sobbing on the threshold, and Monique didn't flinch. She opened her arms and held her, rocking her gently, whispering, I know. It's okay now." I saw something in my sister's face in that moment that had been missing for so long. Purpose, hope, the profound knowledge that her suffering hadn't been meaningless, that she could transform her pain into something that healed others. A year after the trial, I stood in the new healing garden, watching Monique give a tour to a reporter from a major newspaper. The journalist was writing a piece about innovative models of care for abuse survivors. "And this is our healing garden," Monique was saying, gesturing to the raised beds full of lettuce, tomatoes, and sunflowers. The residents tend it together. There's something powerful about growing things, about nurturing life after you've been made to feel like you were dying. The reporter scribbled notes. "How many women have you helped so far?" 43, Monique said, and the pride in her voice was a beautiful thing. 43 women who were told they were crazy, who were drugged and isolated and broken. All of them are healing now. Some have left and started new lives, apartments, jobs, regained custody of their children. Some are still here, still working through their trauma, but every single one of them knows they're not alone anymore. "And what would you say to other survivors watching or reading this?" the reporter asked. Monique thought for a moment, her gaze drifting over the vibrant garden. "I'd say that you're stronger than you know, that the fog in your mind isn't your fault, that the pain they caused you doesn't define you, and that no matter how broken you feel, healing is possible." She looked directly at the reporter, her eyes clear and sure. "I'm living proof." I watched my sister, confident, articulate, radiantly alive again, and I knew we had won the only battle that truly mattered. We had taken back her life. That evening, after the reporter left, Monique and I sat on the porch swing, the gentle creak, creak, a soothing rhythm in the twilight. The residents were inside making dinner together, the sound of their laughter and the smell of garlic and herbs drifting through the open window. "Do you ever think about him?" Monique asked quietly, her head resting on my shoulder. "About Devin?" "Sometimes," I admitted. "I think about what he did, what he took from you. But mostly I think about what he didn't take. He didn't break you permanently. He didn't win." "No," she agreed, a small, peaceful smile on her lips. "He didn't win." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, the fireflies beginning to blink in the gathering dusk. Then Monique said, "Vanessa, thank you for coming back for me. Thank you for not giving up." I kissed the top of her head. "You're my sister. I would tear down the world for you. You know that." "I do now," she whispered. The work of Monique's house became our lives, in the best way. 2 years after the trial, we'd helped over 100 women. We'd added job training programs, art therapy, and financial literacy workshops. Monique had become a gentle but powerful voice for survivors, consulting on state legislation to better protect victims of coercive control and drugging. And me? I restructured my law practice. I took on fewer corporate clients and focused almost exclusively on representing abuse survivors, using every sharp tool I'd honed in boardrooms to now dismantle the traps set by predatory partners. It was the most meaningful work of my life. One afternoon, I was in my home office reviewing a case when Ruthie called, excitement bubbling in her voice. "Miss Vanessa, you need to come to the front door right now. There's something you need to see." I walked to the grand foyer, curious. Ruthie was standing there with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. "Look," she said, pointing down. There, on the threshold where Monique once slept like a discarded piece of trash, was a new doormat. It was thick, coir fiber with deep pile, the kind that would last for decades, and burned into the center in bold black letters were the words, "Strong women live here. Weak men need not apply." I laughed so hard I cried. Monique came out to see what was so funny, saw the mat, and joined in the laughter. We stood there in the doorway of our house, our home, our sanctuary, and laughed until our sides hurt. That mat, that simple, defiant rectangle became our symbol. It became famous. Women from across the country started ordering their own. It was a statement, a reclamation. I still smile every time I wipe my feet on it.
3 years after Devin's conviction, I got a letter from him. It had been forwarded through multiple addresses before it found me, and the prison had clearly read it before letting it through. The envelope was thin, cheap paper. The handwriting inside was shaky, uncertain. "Dear Vanessa," it read. "I know you probably won't read this. I know I don't deserve for you to read this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. Not because I want something from you or because I think it will change anything. I'm sorry because it's true. I destroyed something beautiful. I destroyed someone beautiful, and I have to live with that every day for the rest of my life. I've been in prison for 3 years now. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did, who I was. The man who hurt Monique, I don't even recognize him anymore. The gambling, the debt, the desperation, none of it excuses what I did. Nothing excuses it. I heard about Monique's house. One of the guards told me about it. He said his sister stayed there after her husband tried to kill her. He said Monique saved her life. I'm glad. I'm glad that something good came from something so terrible. I'm glad Monique is helping people. She always had the biggest heart. I just crushed it. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't forgive myself. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I was, and I'm sorry. For whatever that's worth. Devin. I sat at my kitchen table with that letter for a long time, the morning sun streaming in, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Part of me wanted to tear it up, to throw it away, to refuse to let his words into our clean, safe space. But another part, the lawyer part, filed it away as evidence, not of his redemption, but of his acknowledgement. Maybe the first crack in the wall of narcissism that had allowed him to hurt people without seeing their humanity. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. This wasn't about me or him. It was about Monique and her healing, and that didn't require his remorse. It required her own strength, her own will to rebuild. But I did show the letter to Monique. I let her decide what, if anything, it meant to her. She read it slowly at the breakfast table, her face a calm, unreadable mask. When she finished, she folded it carefully along its original creases and handed it back to me. "He's right," she said, her voice quiet and even. "It's worth nothing. Words on paper from a man in a cage. It doesn't change what happened. It doesn't give me back the years he stole. It doesn't erase the nightmares I still have sometimes, though they're fewer now." She paused, looking out the window at the garden where 3 residents were planting tomatoes together, their laughter floating on the breeze. "But it also doesn't hurt me anymore," she continued, a soft smile touching her lips. "His words, his apology, his regret, none of it has power over me. I've built something he can never touch. I've helped people he can never reach. I've become stronger than he ever was, even at his best." She turned her clear gaze back to me. "So yeah, his sorry is worthless, but so is his hate. He's just nothing to me now, and that's the best revenge I could ever have." She stood, kissed my cheek, and went outside to help with the planting.
I watched her go, this incredible woman who'd been broken and then rebuilt herself into something even more beautiful and resilient. That's when I knew, really knew, that we'd won. Not because Devin was in prison, not because justice had been served in a courtroom, but because Monique was free. Free from his control, free from his shadow, free from the prison of fear and degradation he'd built around her. She was free, and she was using that freedom to free others. Now, 5 years after that terrible October afternoon, Monique's house serves over 200 women a year. We've opened 2 more locations in other states. Monique travels the country, a soft-spoken but compelling advocate, telling her story and changing laws about coercive control and medical abuse. She's helped draft legislation that's now known as Monique's Law in 3 states, requiring additional safeguards for emergency competency hearings. Devin is still in prison. He'll be there for another 20 years at least. Patricia died 2 years into her sentence, an heart attack in the prison infirmary. Simone was denied parole at her first hearing. The board read the victim impact statements from the women of Monique's house. Dr. Shaw completed his probation, and last I heard was still volunteering full-time at a clinic for domestic violence survivors. Whether that's genuine redemption or just a lifelong penance, I don't know and don't particularly care. He's doing good work. That's what matters. And dear Ruthie is still with us, the heart and grandmother of Monique's house. Last year, we threw her a surprise party for her 70th birthday. 50 former residents came back to celebrate her. The look on her face as they all cheered for her, it's a memory I'll cherish forever. As for me, I moved back to Georgia permanently. I sold my share of the high-rise Atlanta firm and now work exclusively on cases for Monique's house and other survivor networks. I make a fraction of what I used to make, but I've never been happier or felt more purposeful. Every case I win, every woman I help escape a predator's legal and financial traps, every life I help rebuild, it all matters in a way that corporate mergers never did. Just last week, a young woman named Ashley came to us. She was 26 with 2 small children and had been systematically drugged by her husband for 4 years. She arrived confused, scared, her words slurred from the last of the pills still in her system. Monique met her at the door, as she always does. "Welcome home," she said, her voice a gentle anchor. "You're safe now. I know it doesn't feel like it yet, but you're safe, and you're going to get better. I promise you're going to get better." Ashley looked up at my sister with the same haunted, hollow eyes Monique herself once had. "How do you know?" she whispered, the question a plea. Monique smiled, a smile full of warmth and hard-won certainty. "Because I was you. 5 years ago, I was exactly you. And look at me now. I'm alive, I'm strong, I'm free, and you're going to be all those things too." I watched from the porch as Monique led Ashley inside, her arm a steady support around the younger woman's shoulders. And I thought about that day 5 years ago when I walked into this house and found my sister broken on the floor. We've come so far, all of us. This house that was supposed to be Devin's trophy, his monument to his own success, we turned it into something else entirely. We turned it into hope. We turned it into healing. We turned it into a home for women who thought they'd lost everything. Every time I walk through that front door, I see that mat. Strong women live here. And I smile because it's true. The strongest women I know live here. Women who survived hell and came out the other side, not just healing, but ready to reach back and help others do the same. Devin tried to destroy my sister. He tried to erase her, to reduce her to nothing, to murder her for money. But he failed. She's more alive now than she ever was before. More purposeful, more powerful, more herself. And that old doormat, the one he used to wipe his shoes on her, we burned it in the backyard on the first anniversary of his conviction. All the residents gathered around. We roasted marshmallows over the flames as it turned to ash, a ritual of release. Then we scattered those ashes in the garden and planted roses on top of them. Those roses are blooming now, deep red, the color of blood, of life, of victory. They're thriving. Thank you for being here with me, for hearing Monique's story, for hearing our story. If this touched your heart, if this gave you hope, if this reminded you that even when things seem impossibly dark, there is still a way forward, please show your support. Hit that like button. It tells me you stand with survivors. Subscribe to this channel. It tells me these messages of resilience matter. Drop a comment below and tell me what city and country you're watching from. Are you in Toronto, Sydney, Lagos, Berlin? I love knowing this message of justice and healing is reaching people everywhere. And if you want to support this channel further, there are links below. Every bit helps me keep sharing these untold stories. I share real stories of survival, justice, and quiet triumph because the world needs to know predators don't always win. Abusers can be stopped. The law, when wielded with courage and clarity, can be a shield for the vulnerable and a sword against the cruel. Remember this. You are never too broken to rebuild. You are never too weak to fight back. You are never too alone to ask for help. And you are never, ever without value, no matter what anyone has told you. If you're in a situation like Monique's right now, please reach out. Tell someone, call a hotline, make a plan. You deserve safety. You deserve peace. You deserve a life free from fear. And if you've survived, if you're on the other side, know that your story matters, your strength matters, your voice matters, you matter. Don't let them silence you. Don't let them shame you. Don't let them win. Be strong, be safe, and never, ever sleep on anyone's doormat again. You're worth so much more than that.